Open access is an exciting development in publishing. Under the traditional model, there's subscriptions that get you behind the paywall so that you can view the academic content. With open access, that's made publicly available. The material is made available through a Creative Commons license, and then it's available for the world to see.
And so I had colleagues and friends in engineering and science and technology who were paying thousands of dollars for open access privileges. Whereas in the humanities, we just don't have that kind of resourcing. So we had to get tricky and find new ways of making our research available freely, but still having the kind of scholarly rigour of conventional journals.
For journals, there's a few different ways. Some journals, they're called Diamond Open Access journals, are free to read and to publish in, so there's no charges for those journals, often funded by institutions or organisations. The second option might be the read and publish agreements, and UNE is a part of a growing number of read and publish agreements. And those are agreements that the institution actually has with the publishers, and it covers the cost not just for the subscription, the read part, but also for authors to have those APC charges waived as part of the agreement. And so that's a great way to publish for free, open access through those agreements. And there's information again on the UNE webpage about that. And a third option that many academics aren't necessarily aware of is the green open access route or the institutional open access. And even if you've looked, you can't find a Diamond Open Access journal or a journal that you want to read and publish, this third option for the institutional open access allows authors to make available what's called the author-accepted manuscript version, which is the post-peer review version of the manuscript. It may not have the typesetting and final editing formats that the journal will produce, but those versions are usually able to be made available in an institutional repository, sometimes after a 12 or 18-month embargo. But still, it's a great way to get your research out there into the world and available to everyone.
I've published open access in a number of ways. I've published what I've learned is Diamond Open Access, or just totally kind of free. I've started to use read and publish agreements through the UNE library. And I have done a little bit of this green open access publishing through RUNE and uploading my articles to the university repository. So some journals are started by scholars. So the Journal Environmental Humanities was started by scholars at UNSW and Macquarie University in the intervening years, so it's been around for about a decade now. They've developed a relationship with Duke University Press, so it's hosted by the Duke University Press journal site, but it's still Diamond Open Access. It's a Q1 anthropology journal now, and has built through that kind of scholarly community publishing in that open access space the prestige of a journal you would imagine to be behind a paywall.
Even if you have already signed over some of those rights through the publishing agreement, you can still usually make that author-accepted manuscript available. So that's an opportunity that really I want academics to take so that they can get their work out there making a difference.
I think Diamond Open Access is a really great example of how community can work over commercialisation. And I think that's another really key element of this. We're battling misinformation on so many fronts because, the internet is kind of a wonderful thing and a terrible thing. And so it, provides so many avenues for the distribution of knowledge that actually has no correspondence with the truth. Having open access, being able to distribute, peer-reviewed scholarly knowledge in a way that is there's no barriers to the access to that knowledge, I think is a really useful way of combating that. And I think the commercialisation route, where there are those barriers, does require some sort of institutional connection or privilege to even access the knowledge, actually, thwarts our attempts to sort of counter misinformation with the high quality research that we do. So for me, there's quite high stakes in this, which is why I'm committed to open access publishing.